The innovations in Synchro Box and even like leading innovations in trap tricks have led the OCG to some really cool like breakdowns and awesome deck list. Alright, to the 34% of you that have not smashed the 11 crap out of that subscribe button, smash it so you guys don't miss out on more awesome content. Now, this is actually a pretty interesting tournament. This is a two-man event where you basically have player A, player B, and we're going to be looking at the top 8 for this event. Now, I want to say here in like full discourse for this, some of the decks used for this event are very, very interesting. Like, we have a... Well, first of all, we have 2 Sprite Gishki. Actually, the winning team was a double Sprite Gishki, which actually is kind of interesting at the end of the day to kind of showcase that, like, you know, Nemesis is actually just that good of a card, you know, kind of leading this deck down the rabbit hole of like crazy lines of play. And it's definitely solidified this deck as a much higher place contender out there. Now, we also have what I'm going to dub as 2 synchro toolboxes. Now, basically what these synchro toolboxes are is they're going to be ways to kind of climb up, access Chaos Ruler. Chaos Ruler has become a major problem as of late in the OCG, and there's not really a lot that you can really do to kind of change like the mentality of how busted that, you know, this card has become. And you're either like playing Bysteel packages, or you're like playing, you know, all of these different tuning packages to get access to, you know, Chaos Ruler. And that, honestly, seeing how crazy that card has become is very, very interesting. We also have 1 tier elements. Wow, only 1 tier out of the entire vastness of this top cut, which is very interesting. We also had 1 Naturia deck. I always love to see the Naturias still kind of, you know, lurking around in the top cuts of these formats, because it shows that, you know, this deck is still very much alive at the end of the day. We also had Fallen of Albaz, so Fallen of Albaz, good stuff, still doing its job. And then we had a Trap Tricks in top cut, and I'm a real sucker for when we get the chance to see, you know, Trap Tricks kind of come on out here and showcase, hey, you know, we can do something. So let's pass on over so you can take a look at some of these top deck lists. Winning the event here was none other than Gishki Sprite. Now, what's most interesting about this is, even with the stripped down version of what this deck has had to endure, you know, for all the adaptations to all the different ban lists, you know, the Sprite package in its, you know, smaller form is doing fine. Now, keep in mind that you're just playing 2 Gishki mirrors, all right? Like, you're not even trying to get crazy with those innovations. Vocalization is going to get you pretty much everywhere that you want to be. Plus, I mean, getting the free revive on a Gishki monster is actually pretty insane when you actually get Nemesis on the field. So hey, go ahead and bring back a free level 2. Well, you're literally now set up to get a free revive, and then you just kind of slow roll through the negates and then press your opponent into a situation they can't immediately answer your large monsters. It is definitely up there in terms of power scaling that you want to see for a deck like this. So no real shocker to see this. Now, as we shift on over here to their teammate, you will notice 0 change. Both the duelists opted to take the same deck here, and they crushed the competition, which is very, very interesting at the end of the day, that you can see, you know, they're that confident in this deck. Now, the other interesting thing down here is we are playing the Water Spirit Awe. For a trap card that gives you the ability to look into your opponent's hand and get hand-ripping knowledge, basically you can play around whatever your opponent might be setting up. That's why I particularly value that, in the sense of, hey, you know, your opponent's trying to do something that's a little bit more devastating. Well, you know, signing a 1-of gives you access to, you know, blow your opponent out of the water with it. Technically, you could tasking, search for it if you really need, but I mean, tasking down here is already giving you access like D-Barrier, you know, evenly matched. You have so many power cards that you can access to blow your opponent out of the water with there, that is actually very, very interesting. So that is your Gishki Sprite combination. Next up here is going to be what I dubbed as our Synchro deck on the breakdown. Now, to be perfectly honest with you, what are we doing here? So here's the thing. You have access to, you know, Chaos Ruler, other shenanigans to start to do the entire Synchro board climb. I also see that we are playing the Power Tool Dragon so that we can search for the Smoke Bomb to blow a card out of our opponent's hand. That is hilarious at the end of the day, that you can get away with just little things like this can really make or break, your deck building. And when your entire extra deck is dedicated to, 15 synchro cards, you're going to be getting away with some pretty cool stuff. Also, your super heavy pendulum scales just make this deck so much more like crazy and powerful at the end of the day. So very, very interesting to kind of see the levels of innovation that have led to that. Okay, next up here, his teammate was playing Tier. Now, what OCG Tier is very, very weird because, you still have access to Pariahs for Unicorn, Fenrir, and then the Kashtira Tier Elements. I mean, the Kashtira Tier Elements monster is the GOAT for this deck. Like, let's call it what it is. The fact that you can blow your opponent out of the water with a free deployment mill by banishing, so if you don't have something immediately ready in your hand, I mean, you can go ahead and blow one of your tier monsters out of your hand and go ahead and drop it, initiate a mill, and then your opponent's just kind of going to be forced to look at you and go, what am I supposed to do with this? And the answer is nothing, unfortunately. Like, when you get pressured into a situation that you can't really play the game for, that's where you're going to start losing out on. So even though Tier still looks like a crazy deck, the fact that it's just merged so beautifully with Kashtira has just opened up so many doors for what you really want to see for this. All right, next up here we have our Naturia box. So, pretty much like a lot of the things here, you're still going to be playing your Vernal Sif package with your Naturia. Now, a lot of the TCG players love playing this deck with Runic. I mean, when Runic can, generate through so much free advantage engines, tear your opponent apart, you're essentially good to go on the free advantage engines. And now do keep in mind, I see that we are playing the amazing Baboon Shoot down here, or your opponent can't activate spells and traps. Pretty good. I see that we're also citing good old Bystials. In terms of the rest of this deck for what it does, I like the Pankratops. Actually having a going second card in the main deck actually can get you some free wins. And I actually like to see that. So for what we're seeing here, it looks like the basic levels of innovation are pretty straightforward. Also, the Odd Eyes Rebellion shenanigans into the Zeus stack is also kind of cute at the end of the day. I also see here that here's our Albaz Fusion Deployment, baby. Ah, man, there was always talk about wanting to play Fusion Deployment in this deck. I never really thought too much about it, but it looks like it did stick around and actually relevantly do something, which is kind of cool at the end of the day. I will give them that. Outside of that, I mean, Quem is an amazing card. Your whole gimmick here is you're just going to try to toggle through all the good fusions and get the game going. Obviously, Blazing Cartesia to toggle into dropping, Lilith and start doing basic plays is really good. I mean, we're also, your Bystial package just has immense synergy in this deck. So don't underestimate, like, once your engine starts flowing here, what you're going to be able to do at the end of the day. So, yeah, good stuff. I'm very happy to see that Branded Bystial is one of the top competitors still up here. Then we also have what appears to be our second Synchro deck. Now remember, this is labeled as Bystial Adventure, but you're still going to toggle through, Chaos Ruler, and you're still going to start climbing up. It's so stupid that Chaos Ruler is literally just 2 level 10 synchros. That's what makes the card so crazy. That's why I'm glad the TCG doesn't have to deal with it, but I digress. Also, the fact that, your Bystial package is going to layer up for Lions of Defense. Apple Dragon is just a stupid good card overall for this deck. And do keep in mind that we are citing the Kurikara down here. You don't tend to see a lot of Kurikara anymore, but it is definitely something else that can, get the game going for you. So you like to see that. I don't really have anything else too crazy to say about, Bystial Synchro. It's still pretty much the same levels of innovation that you really expect at the end of the day, and it's going to accomplish quite a lot for the end game here. And then the last list we have for you is Trap Tricks. I am a sucker for this deck, man. seeing Traptrix actually stick around and being an actual semi-relevant threat is very, very interesting. You tend to see a lot of people that just kind of have discounted this, and it's kind of sad to say that actually, because I think that overall this deck is pretty cool. You do have to make some like combo sacrifices at the end of the day, you know, walk into something that might not exactly be optimal, but you should be able to, you know, get the game going at least in favor of you to try to win. So overall, that is the breakdown for the Taiyo Championship. What do you guys think? Please leave a comment down below, tell me what you guys think, and I will see your beautiful faces back here later in the day, guys. Peace out. Patrons, thank you.
Thank you so much for watching. Check out these other videos.